That's not my outfit.
It's Death by Monsters.
And he had a terrible time.
He did.
Welcome. Hello, welcome. You, hello. This is, hello. Welcome.
Hi! Oh my gosh, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
I can't believe you spoke before I said your names. This is Death by Monsters, and I'm joined by Paula Deming and Nicholas Murphy. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Y'all all right?
Oh, yes, I'm
doing
fine.
Okay. Yeah. I'm doing okay.
Does my accent just deceive you, make you feel too comfortable?
It made me feel like you were in America with us.
I'd like to get a tattoo of an eagle. It'd make me feel more part of the team.
Where would you get
I
it?
think I get it on my face.
That's good.
I don't want anyone to misinterpret the signals I'm giving out. And I
That's
feel like
true.
a tattoo on the face is a great way to do that.
Now, is it just on your face, or is it like your entire face? Like your face is now an eagle?
Good question. I was wondering the same thing, Nick.
I'd like my human face to look like an eagle's face.
Yes.
From a distance, I'd want you to think I was an Egyptian god.
A horse? You're just... Is that a horse? Real quick, guys. Is that a horse over there? Hello.
So as our tagline says, this show is about monsters, mysteries, and the unknown. And this week, we're going to be touching on all of them
Ooh, all things.
as we explore the Bennington Triangle. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun.
I will say, this is one I've never heard about.
Also the same. I was like, oh, you meant Bermuda Triangle, and you just misspelled it. But no, you
Well,
didn't.
this is kind of our Bermuda Triangle, I would suppose.
Well, the thing is, right, you've got the Bridgewater Triangle as well, which is in Massachusetts, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Still haven't heard of that one either.
The Bridgewater Triangle. It's very interesting. There's a lot of famous triangles. You've got Bermuda Triangle, Bridgewater Triangle, Toblerone. They just go on and on. Do I keep that joke in? Was it good enough? It was a pretty good bit.
It was good. Keep that in.
I like it. I approve. In the Pennington Pentagon, though, real shit happens.
You get fucked up in there.
Yeah. They used to call it the Pantsless Pentagon, but they can't call it that anymore.
That was just some CIA Black Ops hazing. I was in a dodecahedron once that really made me itchy.
Is that an orgy? The dodecahedron?
I didn't know his first name. So, the Bennington Triangle is a relatively small epicenter of weird and wonderful happenings centered on Glastonbury Mountain in southwest Vermont. The problem with this whole thing is if you type in Glastonbury at any point into YouTube, you will get a music festival in Britain. So,
Yeah, it sounded like a very British place to me, not an
Yeah.
American.
I think I've
city
heard of
name.
that festival, yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of place names in this that I was like, this sounds very posh, but it's not. Well, it is in Vermont. And while Vermont is now arguably a bastion of secularism in the United States, the history of the state and the triangle itself has been home to almost all the weird, high, strange jibber-jabber that really gets me going.
Jibber jabber.
And research on the area can lead you down so many rabbit holes that you could legitimately go weird in your own right. There are many, in fact, who have dedicated their whole lives to the study of things that ain't quite right in that small corner of the world, one of whom is John Citro, whose writings have helped me a whole heap towards this episode, and his book, Vermont Auditorium, was particularly helpful.
Ooh, is it spelled ODD, like odd?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Like a good pun.
It's a good pun. And honestly, his books are really great. And if you find anything in this episode interesting, firstly, what's wrong with you? Get help. Who hurt you? But secondly, go read some more of John Citro's writings. He's funny, he's well-researched, and his most important thing about people who write about this weird stuff is that he's very highly self-aware. You know, he comes off as a kind of person who knows that what he's talking about is some crazy-ass shit. Oh, yeah. The area of the Bennington Triangle has been a hot spot for crazy for just about as forever, and certainly predates colonialism. The Algonquin people of the area reportedly wouldn't step foot on Glastonbury Mountain unless it was to bury their dead.
Oh.
And it is said that the whole area is cursed. It's also, and the reason for the curse is the area where the four winds come together and man would surely disappear All of this is pertinent foreshadowing, just so you know.
Wait, that's literally what the Algonquins would like say, like people disappear here?
Oh yeah, big time.
Interesting.
You know, apparently they weren't very happy, but honestly, it does look pretty freaky. Let's face it, it's very dark. I'll begin with some history. Get excited.
I am excited. I love history. Do it. I'm ready. I'm here.
I got goosebumps. I'm here.
In 1761, some guy called Benning Wentworth, he sounded like a dick.
Benning Wentworth.
My name's Benning Wentworth. We're going to go plunder the Spanish. Throwback to the last episode. Anybody?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm supposed to go check on this colony of people, but instead I think I'll sail down south, steal a bunch of gold from the Spaniards.
So Wentworth drew a circle on a map, and with it, Bennington was born. The problem is that the place where Wentworth drew his circle was almost entirely impenetrable forest and mountains. In fact, 2 towns were started in the 1800s, South Glastonbury and Fayville, on either side of Glastonbury Mountain. But they were never connected because the train was too harsh. I just feel as if you're going to start a town, just visit once. I'm not saying live there.
But also, can we just talk about how awesomely easy it was to start a town back then?
Oh,
Just be like,
man.
here's a map. I'm going to draw a circle.
This is
now
mine.
Bennington.
Where'd you get the name, Benning? Oh, I see what you did there.
It's like people who need to make a movie before they lose the right to, their option rights for a book or something, because it will run out if they don't show that they've made something. And I feel like that's kind of what was happening with a lot of this like colonizing that was going on. Is like these guys were like, oh, the queen's not going to let me keep claiming land in my name because it's been like 2 years since I've done it. So I better just like name something.
Gotta make a Hulk movie. Oh, God, that's not going to go down well. The whole area was first established as a logging and mining town and was connected by railroad to the outside world. But in 1894, most of the finite resources had been extracted, removed, or used up. So after a brief spell of marketing, the town is a tourist hotspot, which frankly, it does look very idyllic. It looks lovely
It's pretty.
if you can get into the remote mountains. The whole town becomes first moribund, then unincorporated, and then finally a ghost town. Vermont itself isn't shy of a few tall tales, ghost stories, and a good old-fashioned cursing. So here are a few of my favourites.
Okay.
There's a story of Mr. John P. Weeks from North Danville, who in 1838 died of appendicitis. Then, while he was being prepared for the ground, he came back to life.
Nuh-uh.
Bullshit. He demanded that someone give him back his pants, and then he walked over to the window and just started waving. And what makes this even better is that he also wrote a book about the whole experience, documenting heaven and hell, called The Narrative of Bro.
Of bro?
It's such a lad name. This guy was definitely named Chad. Not unlike...
Had a near-death experience.
Let me tell you something about heaven here, fam.
Well, actually, heaven is really more like people think about it like it's clouds and stuff, but like actually it's more just like an empty expanse of like this feeling of peacefulness.
The only thing that's there is some sweet tubes to ride at sunset, you know? You go out there, you sit on your freaking board, you watch, talk about existentialism, and then ride some sweet tubes.
And there's no cops.
So basically, we don't need to read his book because we know what it says, clearly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's pretty much like that. It's like Dante's Inferno, only written by a farmer. This book, I mean, there's loads of people witnessed him die of appendicitis. He lived for another 40 years until he died again at the ripe old age of 70. On February 14th, 1984, a cold, dark and wet winter's evening, which now I think about it sounds like a terrible British prequel to Wet Hot American Summer. At the Honeymoon Valley Farm at about 3 a.m., Mr. Rani, Mr. Rani, the farm owner...
Randy.
Jimmy Randy, the farm owner... Mr. Rani, the farm owner, went to check on his herd of heifers when he found the gruesome sight of 23 of his 29 animals dead.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. After examination, it became clear that the animals had all been electrocuted, but not one by one. Oh, no! All at the same time.
Like from a lightning storm?
Oh, I'm going to get into it. They know it was all at the same time because there was no sign of struggle. Electricians couldn't determine a power source. There had been no lightning that night, and even if a stray bolt had hit the barn in which the cows were kept, there were no signs of damage to the building, no burn marks, no evidence.
Ooh, that's weird.
Nothing but 23 dead cows and a mystery.
At least they're already cooked, you know? It's pretty easy preparation, you know? Throw a little salt on those bad boys. He got a feast going. I don't know why this guy's upset.
I think he lost his whole livelihood. And on Valentine's night.
Yeah, and he got a bunch of great steaks out of it, so who's really losing?
Oh, maybe it was Valentine's night. Did he have something planned with his lady? Or did he forget about it? Ooh. Maybe she went out there and was like, you know what? It's like the olden day version of like slashing your tires.
I'm going to destroy our whole life.
That's what you get for forgetting the importance of Valentine's Day.
Indeed. Jerry.
What? Your cows got electrocuted? Who could have done that? Surely it wasn't me trying to teach you a lesson about not valuing my place in your life.
She's just like twiddling a fuse in her fingers.
She's like, I don't know. How did this happen? I'm just a lady.
She slowly tucks a taser back into her purse.
I was very sad, but I was also turned on because she was very erotically biting down on a power cable at the time she told me. So, there's stories of mass cow electrocutions, haunted bridges. The University of Vermont, frankly, is lousy with ghosts. It's got ghosts in 18 different buildings. 18!
Oh, jeez.
We've got water sprites. We've got Champ, the Lake Champlain monster. Bennington is home to its own Bigfoot that goes by the profound name of the Bennington monster. Ooh. Shadow people, Wendigos, Pigman, Nick! Vermont has a Pigman. Does California have a Pigman?
Probably.
It doesn't. It doesn't have a goddamn Pigman.
You don't know that.
Pigman! I believe!
Let's talk about Pigman. Why are we doing anything else?
Do we do this or do I just... How much information is there on Pigman? Turns out, not loads. But it's no surprise that in a place with so much lore and crazy, that when things really do start happening, the people of Bennington aren't short of few explanations. The Bennington Triangle, specifically, an area that includes Bennington, Somerset, Woodsbury, Shaftesbury, and Glastonbury.
And those are the most British-sounding place names I have ever heard in my life.
They really are. Gosh.
Even I'm grossed out by it. From mysterious lights in the night sky, strange unidentified sounds, unexplained odours, foothills filled with ancient cairns, needless to say, this place is creepy. And starting in 1945, 5 for sure, 10 most likely, but up to 40 people went into the woods and never came out. But it has to be said that even 5 missing people would be a hugely disproportionate number amongst an area with a disproportionately low population, even by Vermont's standards. The modern age mystery starts in 1945 when, on November 12th, a man named Middy Rivers, who somehow wasn't a blues guitarist, vanished without... I was very happy with that joke. Vanished without a trace. Middy was a 75-year-old hunting and fishing guide and most notably native to the region. He had led 4 other hunters up onto Glastonbury Mountain, but later on, as evening fell and they began their hike back to camp, Middy managed to get ahead of the group, only the 4 hunters never caught up with him. No one did, as Middy Rivers was never seen again.
What?
I don't want to be disrespectful to any of our AARP members who are listening, but is 75... too old to be traipsing through the woods?
I think it's probably cool. If I could be tramping around the woods at 75, that'd be fun. Rather than what I intend to do, which is be dead by then. The second and most famous of the disappearances was Paula Weldon.
What?
I knew you were going to say something.
I can't. No one ever has my name. I'm going to get excited anytime there's anyone else referenced who has my name. So
a massively hip and popular upcoming name, Paula, in 1940. You're bringing it back.
I'm like a Throwback Thursday, but in real life.
That sounds more... No.
Just keep going. We can... Yep, that's fine.
Just move on. Paula, a sophomore from Bennington College, went for a hike on the Long Trail on Sunday, December 6th, 1946, which sounds just fucking awful. December on a mountain in Vermont. Good Lord.
Yeah.
This one is really well documented. People saw her leave. They saw her walking. Campers saw and spoke to her as she entered the woods. Her roommate said she'd gone out just to clear her head. It wasn't until the next day that alarms were raised and the sheriff's department, along with 400 students, faculty and townsfolk. Well, whenever townsfolk are mentioned anything, it always sounds bad, doesn't it?
They ruin everything.
They joined together to search the trail and the surrounding areas, looking out most notably for a bright red parka that she was last seen wearing. The FBI, the New York and the Connecticut police departments were issued in. They searched for him over a month, and even with a promise of a $5,000 reward, which, and I just like doing the conversion, all right? I just like, in today's money, that's 65 grand. There you go, now you know.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's significant.
If it was just for information, I would have killed someone else and shoved them in the woods. 65 grand, that's loads.
Matthew, don't say that stuff where it's being recorded and other people are going to listen to it. That's going to be used against you in court one day.
Don't anger me, Paul, or I'll dump you in the woods.
I'd kill people for a freaking Big Mac. I'm just going to put that out there right now, that a sweet Big Mac, insta-death.
Bloodhounds, airplanes, and over 1,000 people. This was huge national press event. Hundreds of square miles were searched. It was just real big news. And in the words of Joe Citro, quote, "No sign of a body, no clothing, no evidence at all. The only thing certain is that a young woman took a walk in the Vermont hills and never came back."
Yeah, it is like, why, especially if she was wearing like a bright red parka.
I mean, she could have just met it with a boyfriend and drove to California.
That's
I
true.
mean, anything could have happened.
That's how I got here. You know.
Just a man found you walking in the woods, Nick, and you just got in. You ended up in California, and you're like, well,
He's like, you want to go to California? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to be famous.
that's a long time to spend in a car with someone you just met, though.
That's awkward, yeah.
If you run out of things to talk about.
By Ohio.
So, how about the local sports team? Please just keep your eyes on the road, sir. Next to go was James E. Tedford, who, on the 3rd year anniversary of Paula's disappearance, got on a bus back home from St. Albans, bound for Bennington Soldiers' Home. And though the exact location of his disappearance is unknown, all we know is witnesses saw him get on a bus, no one ever saw him get off the bus, and no one ever saw him again. Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
This one's weird.
All of them, in my opinion, are pretty easy to explain. This is the one that's tough, though.
I know that, Paula, you believed everything I'd said so far. Pigman, you accepted.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I completely.
Without hesitation.
Absolutely.
It is weird. Or he could have been some old guy who'd got off a bus because who pays attention to old people? Really?
Gosh. Thank God someone finally said it.
He could have just gotten off at a stop and no one realized they didn't see him get back on.
It's very easy.
Here's my other thought. Something happened. He died. Everyone on the bus felt like they were culpable. So they all banded together and made a pact. And they said, we will never talk about this. We will say he just magically disappeared. No one has to know that all of us somehow contributed to his death.
I like this plan. They're on the bus, and they're thinking, they can't think of anything, and one guy just says, how about we just say magic?
And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's it.
Could we get away with that?
Won't people ask questions?
If we all say he disappeared, who's going to question it? It is
Right? If we all stick to the story.
I think there is something to be said for a bunch of people banding together in a conspiracy of denial. I like it.
It's actually kind of a beautiful example of the power of the human spirit.
It's beautiful. What I personally think happened is that he went to those bathrooms in the back of the bus and he got sucked into the toilet and got thrown out the bus.
That does not happen.
This was like the 70s. The toilets were not nearly as advanced back then. They were death traps.
Annoyingly, I don't know enough about old toilets to deny that, but it doesn't sound right.
They're just actually a hole out of the back of the bus.
Exactly.
I really do think there's some real world reasons why people go missing on Glastonbury Mountain. But what about Pigman?
What about Pigman?
Pigman.
But, this one is weird. This is like he was there. He left all his stuff behind on the bus too, right?
I believe so.
I guess that is one thing that makes people think like it's not that he got off the bus and people didn't realize, because if that had happened, he probably would have taken all his stuff.
Look, I've been on enough Greyhound buses to know that if you're going to get off just for a quick cigarette or to use the bathroom or stuff your face full of boiled peanuts, not an innuendo, then you need to just tell at least one person that you gone missing, because the bus will drive off without you and allow an old man to die of exposure. It's actually quite sad because he did go missing. So, on Columbus Day, 1950, Paul Jepson, an 8-year-old boy, sat in his mother's pickup truck as she tended to their pigs.
Pigman.
Pigman. Same thing.
Oh, it's all coming together. Pigman. Not Pigman again, damn it!
He's like, you would not enslave my pigs. These are my people. I'm going to take your child.
Why won't the world just believe in the power of Pigman? She was gone only a couple of minutes, but she returned to an empty truck. Volunteers in their hundreds, who by this point were well practiced, searched and double-checked the dump, the roads and the surrounding mountains with the help of the Coast Guard and local psychics.
Okay, hear me out though. Are they well practiced, or are they burned out from all the searching for people that they had already done, and so they actually did a bad job of looking?
Perhaps. I feel as though if it's the same people doing it, on the one hand you do have people saying, people who know what they do. In fact, this is when they implemented this double checking system where they would check one area, then they would get someone else to check it after them.
Oh, that's interesting.
But on the other hand, you're right, because they've had unsuccessful searches. At some point, the morale of these month-long searches that go on, and they go, they didn't find Paula in over a month, and you just think maybe they kind of thought, well, we'll go and do it because we need to keep up appearances, but perhaps they just think it's an impossible task to find someone in those woods. But on the other hand, when you've got the impetus of it being an 8-year-old boy, I feel as though they probably did try.
Yeah, I gotta assume so.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happened to Paul Jepson, it's not a pleasant story, especially if Pigman was involved. 2 weeks later, Frida Langer and her cousin were hiking Glacier Mountain. Frida, a practiced gun handler and woodsman, at 3:45 in the afternoon, she slipped and fell into a stream. As her cousin waited for Frida to run the short distance back to camp to change her clothes, he gets worried, and rightly so, because she never makes it back to camp. She never came out of the woods. She was never seen again alive. The local paper, the Bennington Banner, wrote, quote, "One of the things that's hard to explain is how Mrs. Langer could have become so completely lost in an hour's time before dark in an area with which she was so thoroughly familiar."
Yeah, that's
weird.
Were there possibly in this area, are there like ravines or like places where people could like slip and fall and plummet to, like 127 hours kind of style, or like...
Firstly, when you said possibly, I thought you were going to explain the disappearance on possums. Immediately, that was my first thought. Are there possums? Could it be possums?
Could it be possible?
Could it be... Okay, hear me out, you guys. Could it be a giant pack? I don't know what the term is. A giant pack of possums.
I'm looking it up.
It's a geesage of swans and a swanage of geese and a twat of badgers.
Okay, that doesn't help me with possums, though.
A group of possums is called a passel. A passel of possums.
A passel of possums. A passel of possums perched on the...
Precipice.
All these plosives are absolutely fantastic for audio.
It's going to be really good. Pouncing on...
Ooh, porcupines.
People pretending... No.
Please put a pack of bullets in my brain. No? So, 3 days after a month-long search, on December 3rd, Frances Christman left her home to visit a friend half a mile away, and she never made it. These are the 6 that are commonly cited as the Bennington Triangle disappearances. Although, 2 years after Paula's disappearance, 3 hunters from Massachusetts vanished up in Glastonbury Ghost Town, near the same place Melvin Hills disappeared on October 11th, 1942, making Frances Christman not number 6, number 10.
Ooh.
Frida Langer's body was recovered 7 months after her disappearance. She was found in some tall grass near the Somerset Reservoir. And while this may seem like some small amount of closure on her death, the problem is that no cause of death could be determined.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and what's more is that she was found in the centre of one of the most searched areas in her disappearance, right out in the open where you just couldn't miss her. So the question is, what the fuck?
I mean, was there like a weird man in a cabin no one knew about?
that's my
like,
thing.
Who kept her body in a freezer for a while and then went out and dumped her later? Like,
Oh, so someone says they've got Bigfoot in a freezer and you're against it. But the second it's Frida Langer.
the second it's a real human body, yes.
Well, see, and that's my thing. I'm like, all of these, with the exception of maybe the guy on the bus, but although I like Paula's thing that they all decided to murder him, I really think this could all be, especially because they're all in a short period of time, they're all just like, yeah, it's just a murderer who lives in a shack somewhere. Because he could have just kept this body and then been like, let's just drop it out here. I'm done with this one.
Oh, there's
Ew.
ramifications.
I agree. It's gross, but
We're going to get into it. There are a lot of theories about the Bennington Triangle and many more that go way beyond the disappearances. The problem is that with a place that is this steeped in a brew of folklore, history, and mystery, it all starts to get real murky real quick. That's a T ref. There's numerous T ref. Go back and listen. T references. That's pretty good writing. So the first theory I'm going to bring to you is something we can all get behind. Something we can all agree on. And something that can act as a tether to reality. Bigfoot.
Yes. This is definitely the ground zero of us all being on the same page.
Something we can all agree on. Bigfoot. So they had their own Bigfoot, the Bennington Monster. Not a bear. There are a ton of Bigfoot sightings on Glastonbury Mountain. The first reported sighting, not a bear, it was in the 1900s, when a stagecoach full of passengers was forced to stop in the hills due to a washed-out road. And it was then the Bennington Monster, not a bear, appeared, and out of the darkness, the passengers saw two large eyes as the monster, which was not a bear.
Maybe a bear.
definitely a bear.
With multiple blows, no, I'm powering through, multiple blows knocked the stagecoach over before running off into the night.
A strong bear.
Not a bear, although almost definitely a bear. I mean, even I can recognise that a stagecoach full of city slickers that ain't never seen no bear would go, oh my, what's that monster? Just think.
Pretty much.
It's what I've said to you before, Nick, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I said this in our Bigfoot episode. It's like, there's no need to add the paranormal or anything to Bigfoot. He's already real. I do think there's most likely Sasquatch in that part of North America, given the Algonquin people's own lore and all the Sylvanic videos. But let's not get bogged down with Bigfoot when there could be a serial killer on the loose.
That's what I think. That's my guess right there. Pigman.
Wait, the serial killer is probably not Pigman. He's probably just like a man who happens to be like kind of a pig.
I might have to go off script here. You've opened up a whole new world for me. What if the serial killer is Pigman?
Oh, no. Stay on script. Just stay on script. Power through.
It's like a door has been opened in my mind. It's so clear now. It was Pigman. It's always been Pigman.
It's always been Pigman. That's the thing.
Pigman, even after all this time.
It was always you.
That was a Harry Potter reference. I just did it in an American accent, though.
I've never seen Pigman. I've never seen Harry Potter. I mean,
or Pigman.
I have seen Pigman.
Whereas Pigman, I've seen many times.
I can't. After the incident, I close my eyes and all I see is Pigman. There are certain patterns that people look for when trying to solve groupings of incidents. And while that can be a dangerous habit to form, seeing things that aren't there, not a bear, the patterns of the disappearances has led some to suggest a serial killer could be behind the whole thing.
Yep.
All of those people who vanished did so roughly in the same time of year, which suggests that someone may be coming to Vermont for more than a farmer's market and a maple creamy. So firstly, I had to look up.
Your laugh after you said that.
I realised that. So I was doing the research this episode, and I thought, do you know what? I've spent the last 20 minutes looking at Vermont Farmers Market for what's essentially going to be an offhand comment. Something called a cider donut? I don't know what it is. It sounds good to me.
It sounds lovely.
But maybe maple creamy sounds good though. But maybe they were coming up each year to do some killing. It goes some way to explaining the fact that these people went missing without a trace. It explains how trails could go cold at roads. It explains why Frida Langer's body could just show up as though being shown off by some sick fuck. But it doesn't explain how someone could abduct some of these people within a matter of minutes and feet away from their friends and family. It doesn't explain how someone could just vanish from on board a bus, and it doesn't add up as far as an MO goes, with victims with such varied ages, genders, and looks.
Hey, wait, remind me. I think you said this, but they weren't able to determine a cause of death for Frida, right? It was just a body that no longer had life within it.
Because I think the reports were from the 1940s, right? So I think the reports all just said that the body was too gory to determine a cause of death. It was just too far.
So it was like in rough
decomposed
shape, or like just like bloated from being dead for a while.
I believe she had been eaten somewhat by fauna.
I see. I understand.
Although the question would remain that if she had been out in that field the whole time, there would be nothing but bones left. She'd been dead for 7 months. So the insinuation is that someone put her out there, or that she had been living in the woods for a period of time and then died later on, that she hadn't been dead.
Or that the aliens finally finished their tests and just dropped her back.
Don't even play with that kind of stuff, because I purposely tried not to talk about anything like that, and I could go on because you've got electrocutions in the area, and you've got missing. It could be some kind of.
It really is the most like X-Files plot story yet, I feel like, of what we've talked about.
We'll get into it because there is some direct X-Files. The X-Files definitely got some ideas from this case, I believe. Absolutely. Oh, Frida. But one thing that kills without discrimination is this next theory. A theory that starts off weird.
Just this one's weird.
Yeah.
It gets less weird, I promise. But man-eating stone monsters.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, how does it get less weird?
You heard me correctly, by the way. Man-eating stone monsters. So this theory comes from native Algonquin lore, and Citro wrote about in his book, The Vermont Monster Guide. The idea are that there are these stones that prey like fly traps, waiting for someone or something to step on it before it becomes malleable and eventually sucks in its prey.
Huh.
Okay.
This idea of dangerous rocks, do I make a joke about the WWE? Isn't isolated by any means to Glastonbury Mountain. It's in British Celtic traditions, Scandinavian traditions. Don't get me started on Black Mountain in Queensland. Mountain eats people, just saying. And it's
I need to know.
And especially Icelandic traditions. There are so many stories about fields of boulders that are possessed or inhabited by elves and gnomes. I feel as though Nick's ears just pricked a tiny bit.
A little bit.
They just got like slightly pointy at the top.
There's like an elf school, I think, in Iceland. Yeah, there's like an elf spotting school that you can go to.
They've got the Hildefolk right in Iceland, and it's absolutely fascinating. It really is. So there's traditions of boulders being possessed by gnomes, and sometimes small children will be lured to drink tea with the fairies. But if you're an adult, you may never be seen again.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you'll befall a curse of misfortune. But the point is that it's a ubiquitous story. This story of monsters in the rocks is just everywhere.
It's very interesting.
I know this isn't going to be popular with you two. This is what I think's most likely what happened. Kind of.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I've buckled up. Tell me.
I think one of the most likely things that could have happened in those woods and up on that mountain are not only man-made mine shafts and wells, but the whole area is probably just littered with sinkholes. I think that's where the folklore for the area comes from. Hundreds of years ago, a few Algonquin tribespeople go missing in the woods. Then it happens again. Then it happens another time. And some native kid sees his friend or family member fall through the floor, eaten by the earth, and a law is born. And the land is cursed. And all that step foot in it shall be eaten by the land itself. And this pairs really well with all the other things that have been a forebearer of the curse of the land, is the fact that the Algonquin people said that the land was cursed because the four winds all met there. And I've seen a bunch of stories about Glastonbury Mountain that says, well, we went up on a clear blue day and wouldn't you know it, it was snowing out of nowhere. So the fact that this whole area is just treacherous and unpredictable, someone like Paula Weldon goes up for a quick hike in the woods, gets caught off guard, and before she realises, succumbs to the elements. The first place you try to take refuge is in a big tree, and it's really fucking hard to find a missing person in the forest if they die while taking refuge in a big tree.
True.
Yeah.
There's a case called Bella in the Witch Elm, or Who Put Bella in the Witch Elm, which is something we should totally do, as it's a great story of murder, and it's filled with black magic and Nazi spies.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yes.
The body in that case was in a tree for years before it was found, and it wasn't
Just like D.B. Cooper.
He's an American hero.
I find it interesting that you thought this theory was going to be unpopular with us, because I feel like the sinkhole theory makes actually a lot of sense.
Like, actually, so much sense.
Yeah.
But maybe it was the Hildefolk.
I still my votes on Pigman.
Maybe the Hildefolk made the sinkholes that people slipped into.
I'd buy it. I'd buy that. Let's go with that. So, that's Glastonbury Mountain.
So, do people still go missing there now, or this all ended in like 1951? Like, or is everyone just like, they don't even go there now because of all these things that happened? Like, what is it like today?
From what I read, quite a few of John Citro's novels, right? He's non-fiction last week, and I've read quite a few articles and stuff. And I kind of think that it's one of those local traditions that people tend to not talk about. It's like the people of Vermont, because the Bennington Triangle isn't particularly popular, and the fact that one of Vermont's their main tourist thing is going to the woods at that time of year each year to see the leaves change colour.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Look at the autumnal world.
I really want to go to New England in the fall sometime.
You want to get yourself to old England, dirty England.
No, I don't.
Come to old England, we'll have you. You ever seen a man
No, okay.
lose a glass eye in a pint?
I regret this. I regret everything.
You ever seen an old man eat his own face?
What?
Yeah, but I just think that's because there's so much.
Oh, God.
That's the word touristing. From what I understand, there's lots of people. Everyone in that area knows about Glastonbury Mountain, but it's not something that people talk. Don't tell the tourists because it's creepy. Glastonbury Mountain is creepy. Yeah. It just feels creepy. I don't know. I mean, I could get into it, but sometimes a place just has an element of weird to it. There is an energy sometimes in places, and whether it's doesn't have to be paranormal, it doesn't have to be anything, but some places can just have a weird energy, and you don't want to be there. But I also think, right, that there's a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies about these kind of places.
Yeah.
When a bunch of people tell you that somewhere is cursed.
Well, you start to notice all the things that maybe you wouldn't notice before that are bad or weird or strange or...
Totally.
Yeah, and then you start to attribute to...
A curse doesn't need to be real to be effective. And once the idea permeates the air, it hangs there waiting to strike. It's like when someone walks on ice, they don't fall until you tell them to be careful. And at that point, was it the ice that made them fall, or was it your cursed warning? You know, it's like a lot of in occult, a lot of magic. It doesn't have to be real. And if you want to talk about in the same sense that often prayer, if you don't believe in it or anything like that, doesn't have to be real for it to work, because it's, you know, there's a secular thing that people do, which is like manifesting things in that way. You think about something enough, you make it happen. And it's just thought, you know, and that's what prayer essentially could be boiled down to, or a curse could be boiled down to.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I don't know how weird Glastonbury Mountain is, but I tell you that I wouldn't want to go camping up there, if I'm perfectly
Not
honest.
particularly.
Yeah, probably not.
I think Paula probably could have driven off with a boyfriend, never to be seen again. There's no reason why that couldn't have happened. I think Frida probably was murdered by someone. And maybe Midi Rivers fell down a sinkhole, never to be seen again.
But what about Busman?
Busman's the only one. Like I said earlier on, I was like, I think all of these can be explained away by like a serial murder or something pretty explainable. Busman's the weirdest one.
I can't tell you how hard I ignore old people. So, I mean...
Well, but...
They freak me out, Paula. I've never had any grandparents, so I don't know how to act around them. I don't want any of their sweets.
But supposedly, I mean, according to the one video about this that I watched, you know, that girl was like, everyone on the bus like noticed him. Everyone was talking about him. Maybe he was like a sweet old man that everyone like talked to and had a little like story about, and then he's just gone.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the only person on the bus who says, I honestly don't remember that, or I was listening to... I'll be honest with you, I was pretty high the whole trip. I can't get on a Greyhound. It's an 8-hour Greyhound. Do you think I wasn't high? I mean, what are you going to do? And what's to say that people falling down sinkholes, people running off, murderers, maybe it is cursed. Maybe all these things happen in that area because there is an energy there. Or maybe we just notice it more because that's what people say about Glastonbury Mountain.
People know that this is an area where this happens, so people who want to murder and do weird stuff go to that area
there to do it.
because they're like, oh, I'm going to fulfill this prophecy type thing, you know. And I think I don't know. It's
if you're going to kill someone, do it somewhere where someone's going to blame Pigman. I mean, that's your first thing to do.
You're basically, it's a get out of jail free card. Yeah,
Wear a pig's head whilst you do it.
there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
So there's something sexy about a full-grown man wearing a pig's head.
No, I'm just going to butt in right now and say no, there isn't actually.
there's no woman who's like, yeah, I'm with it.
In the right light, there's a sheen that blood provides. No. In my mind, this guy is not wearing a shirt, but he's wearing very dirty trousers.
Oh, God, it's getting worse.
I like the idea of sinkholes and murderers. That's my jam.
Yeah, it does feel to me like there must be some natural explanation for why these bodies aren't easy to find. I mean, it's really difficult terrain, even if everyone's combing the area.
It's so easy to miss stuff.
If you go down a sinkhole that just, I mean, with like wet, mossy, muddy land beneath you, when that kind of falls in on itself, it falls closed.
Well, not to mention in the area, because one thing that like some people are like, oh, it could be like an animal attack, but one thing that we watched are like, yeah, but the only real big kind of animals out there are like bobcats and lynxes, which is fair. But like if someone died, like fell into a sinkhole or like died for some reason, like there's probably scavengers around, especially if they're like big cats like that. They'll probably scavenge and like drag that body up into a tree or like drag it somewhere into a den somewhere to like feed their young.
Yeah.
Upsetting.
You would just never find that because it's probably hidden pretty well.
That's so true. I mean, a bear could like...
It's not a bear.
It's Pigman.
Pigman. But yeah, bear kills you, and then eventually a bunch of raccoons take you into their little raccoon house.
Yeah.
And then the passel of possums.
Even if they're killing you, that's still pretty cute.
Yeah, it's like especially in that dense of woods, there's so much stuff that can happen to the body.
So many possums.
So many possums.
Quickly, there's a story, lots of stories about people going up there and all of a sudden the weather changes. I think that, you know, that does make a place dangerous.
It does. And especially in that region, that happens a lot. I was in New Hampshire and I was hiking to the top of this big ass mountain called Mount Washington. And one thing that like, I was talking to some of the locals in the area and they told me, and then I'm like on signs, they're like, yo, weather out here can change really, really, really fast. So you need to be like prepared if like the wind picks up or starts raining. And there is a lot of warning. So like in that area, weather does change really quickly.
There's a mountain near me called Mount Snowdon. There's a cafe at the top of it, for God's sake, but people die walking up there sometimes because the weather changes.
Yeah.
Experienced mountaineers going up mountains that have been traversed time and time again. People still die going up these things. You can slip. You can anything happen.
Totally.
And you know, and also that guy was powerful drunk to walk 7 miles and then fall asleep.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about doing mushrooms in the woods. Think you'll see them things.
Like a pigman?
Pigman.
If you do mushrooms in the woods, you'll get very attached to an inanimate object. You might sit in a rusted out tractor for about three hours and think it's very important.
True.
Because of mushrooms. Those things could happen to you, possibly. I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode of Death by Monsters and for joining us. I've neglected to write the end, so we're just gonna wing it.
Just like my eagle tattoo.
Oh, quality pun and callback there, Paula. I look at my eagle tattoo and it tells me that I'm a winner every morning. I look in the mirror and I go, would a loser have an eagle's face for a human face? I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
If you want to contact us, then please do deathbymonsterspodcast@gmail.com. What I would love for you to contact us with are your own home strange stories, things that are weird. Maybe it was, did you find a body in a tree? First, tell the police, then tell us about it. Did you see Pigman?
No, you didn't. You didn't see Pigman.
Don't malign the experiences of Pigman. Contact us there with your home strange stories. We'd absolutely love to talk about those on our episodes. That'd be great fun. Judge you. We can judge you on them, basically.
Yeah.
You can tweet Paula at Paula Deming, correct?
That's it.
Or Nick at the Brothers Murph. We're on Instagram and we have a Facebook group, I believe.
We are so social.
The irony of what you just said. Thank you so much for listening to Death by Monsters, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's Death by Monsters.
Also, his book, The Vermont Monster Guide. Very good.
Oh.
So thank you, John Citro. For...
Is that kind of like the D&D like monster manual?
Do we dissolve the firmament? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Oh, did I make a fatal error by mentioning anything gaming related?
If you like board games, you could always... There's
Go
stuff
back
that
to
we
where
do.
nerds come from.
Go back to nerd country, sucker! This is about monsters.
We're super cool.
Losers.
I'm super cool. I spent the week reading books about Vermont.